Every company on the planet is wrestling with the same big question. How do you attract, reward, and, most importantly, keep your top talent? In today's world, a great salary is really just table stakes. So what are the powerful strategies that go beyond the paycheck? Well, let's dive in.
So let's just get right to it, right? You've got these star players, the key executives who are really driving your company forward. How do you build a benefits package that genuinely shows them their value and, ties their future success to yours?
Well, the answer, believe it or not, lies in this really special class of benefits called non-qualified plans. Now, these aren't your typical run-of-the-mill benefits. They are highly tailored, they're flexible, and they are designed specifically for those key, highly compensated employees.
At the very heart of all these strategies is the idea of deferred compensation. It's basically an agreement to pay an employee later on, say retirement. Now, the key here is that because these plans are non-qualified, they don't have to play by the same super strict rules as a 401k. And that freedom is exactly what gives companies the flexibility to create these amazing custom rewards for their top people.
All right, let's kick things off with our first category, plans, where the company is firmly in the driver's seat. We're talking about situations where the employer owns and controls the assets that are going to fund the benefit.
First up on our list is the salary continuation plan. And this one is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a simple, straightforward promise from the employer, paid for entirely by them, to keep an executive's salary going if something happens. It's a really powerful way to show commitment to that key person's financial security.
Now, another huge tool in this company-owned toolbox is corporate-owned life insurance, or COLI for short. In this case, the company buys a life insurance policy on a key employee, but here's the twist. The company itself is the owner and the beneficiary. This isn't just about a death benefit, it's a strategic financial asset for the business, and it's often used to fund other promises like that salary continuation plan we just talked about.
And get this is where it gets really cool. A lot of modern COLI policies have something called a change of insured provision. What does that mean? It means if one executive leaves, the company doesn't have to ditch the policy and start all over. Nope, they can just swap in the new key employee. It saves a ton of money on fees and hassle. It's just incredibly efficient.
So if we put these two side by side, what do we actually see? Well, you'll notice right away they're both funded and owned by the employer. The big difference really comes down to their purpose and how they're taxed. The salary continuation plan is that direct promise to replace income, which is taxable when the executive gets it. COLI, on the other hand, is the corporate asset used to fund those promises, and its proceeds usually come to the company tax-free. Okay, still in that company-owned world, there's another tool to know about, the corporate-owned annuity. Just like COLI, it's an asset held by the company, but its tax treatment gets a little tricky. It all hinges on one critical detail: who is named as the annuitant. If a person is the annuitant, the growth is tax-deferred. But if it's the corporation itself, that interest gets taxed every single year. But, and there's always a but, there are some really important exceptions to that rule. The interest can stay tax-deferred if the annuity meets certain conditions, like if it's held in a trust for a person or if it's part of a qualified retirement plan. See, the details here really matter.
Okay, so we've talked about the company holding all the keys. But what if we flip that script completely? What if the whole point isn't just to fund a future promise, but to give the executive more direct control and, actual ownership? Well, that brings us to our second category, where the power shifts from the company to the employee.
Say hello to the Executive Bonus Plan, sometimes called a Section 162 plan. And this one is just beautifully straightforward. The company gives the executive a bonus. Then, the executive turns around and uses that bonus to buy and pay for a life insurance policy that they own and control 100%.
So how does this actually play out? It's a really clean four-step process. Step 1, the employer pays a bonus, which they can deduct. Step 2, the employee reports that bonus as income. Step 3, they use that after-tax money to fund their own personal policy. And finally, the ultimate payout goes to their family, completely income tax-free. It's simple, clean, and incredibly effective.
And when you look at the perks for both sides, it's pretty obvious why this is such a hit. For the employer, it's super easy to set up, and the bonus is deductible. That's a big win. For the employee, the advantages are just huge. They own a personal financial asset, they have complete control over it, and they're providing a tax-free benefit for their loved ones. It's a true win-win.
So, we've seen plans where the employer owns everything and plans where the employee owns everything.
But what if there's a third way? A middle ground, a more collaborative approach? Well, that's exactly where our final category comes into play.
And that brings us to the split dollar plan. Now, the number one most important thing to get about this is that it's not a type of insurance policy. It is a funding method. Think of it as a formal agreement between the employer and employee to share the costs and the benefits of a single life insurance policy.
The best way to wrap your head around this is with a simple analogy. Just imagine an employer helping a key employee buy a house. Maybe the employer puts up some of the down payment, and in return they get a stake in the home's value. The employee gets this amazing asset they probably couldn't have afforded on their own. That right there is the whole spirit of a split dollar plan.
So when we say split, what are we actually talking about? Well, it's pretty much everything. The premium payments can be split, the growing cash value inside the policy is split, and even the final death benefit is split between the company and the employee's family. It's all laid out in a written agreement, making it a truly customized partnership.
Wow, we have covered a lot of ground, right? From company-owned to employee-owned to these shared plans. So let's pull this all together with the ultimate cheat sheet just to make sense of all these different options.
Okay, this table just lays it all out, nice and clear. Think of it like a spectrum of control. On one end, you've got salary continuation and COLI, fully funded and controlled by the employer for company purposes. Way over on the other end is the executive bonus plan, where all the power and ownership is in the employee's hands. And then right there in the middle, you have that collaborative split dollar plan, where everything is shared.
So after all of that, what's the big takeaway? What's the one thing you really need to remember? It's this. There is no single best plan. The right choice depends entirely on what you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to protect the business, reward an executive with a personal asset, or create a shared partnership? The strategy has to match the goal.
And that really leaves us with the final big picture question. We've just walked through the entire toolkit for rewarding and keeping your most valuable people. So the real question for you is, which of these tools is the right fit to design and build the future of your company?